now that it's got rollback, everyone can just be happy. All the 3 main Guilty Gear games that people still want to play, Plusar, Exerd, and Strive, they've all got rollback. And hey, speaking of sort of the part 2, Granblue Fantasy versus Rising. So I did not play Granblue Fantasy. Excuse me, versus. It came out a little. I was like, it was one of those things. Was that 2019? I think I was still in high school. I didn't have a lot of monies, and it didn't have rollback. So, and also just, I don't know, it didn't quite appeal to me. I wasn't familiar with the Granblue property, except for a friend I had in high school who was really into it. It looked neat. I could probably have fun with it, but it was just, the things that were holding it back was just, it looked, obviously, the lack of functioning online, which leads to, small player base, that kind of thing. Just, just not worth the investment for me. It's weird because it feels like, also, I don't know, I just heard about the game just getting made worse with updates. I don't know. I'm not sure how the game was in terms of balance, if it got better or worse. I heard people complaining, And it was weird because I feel like there was the last, oh God, it's been 4 years since 2019. Oh my God, it has. That's crazy. That does not feel like that. It's been 4 years. No fucking way. It's been 4 years since I was a senior in high school. What the fuck? Oh, it's hurting my brain. Oh, it's hurting my brain. Oh, that's weird. Anyway. Oh God. Oh no. Oh, I'm feeling it. It's coming on. The aging, the time. This is just slow. This is like that comment about Sonic 2 that made me have a crisis a couple episodes ago. Oh no. What the fuck was I talking about? Right. It feels like the game just keeps getting character updates. And I see, I'm like, isn't that game, just done? And then it gets a new character. I'm like, I thought it was, are they still updating this thing? The game just seems like it's just the super hardcore community that's sticking to it, basically. Well, anyway, Granblue, the grand tragedy of Granblue is that apparently it was a cool game, and to be honest, yeah, it does look like it was cool. It looks like I could probably have some fun with it. But it was in that little window of time of games that were released around the 2018-2019 period, where they came out with old delay-based netcode, which was honestly not even acceptable at the time. I mean, Christ, at Skullgirls KI for 2013, 2012, not acceptable, right? To have delay-based netcode in the year of our Lord 2019. But it was at least the community had, in-person tournaments and things like that. And then obviously COVID just swept it all away. So there was just this, it was like that in Sam Show 2019, of games that were apparently really cool and that got some very dedicated audiences, and just got obliterated by the fact that they had shitty online and COVID happened, so people couldn't even meet up to play the game. And Granblue was kind of and now that Sam Show had the rollback update announced, Granblue was kind of the last one. It was that, and I guess Tekken 7, but Tekken 7 was never going to get rollback. Oh yeah, and I guess Dragon Ball FighterZ. So it's just, yeah, that's always been kind of the tragedy of Granblue, and it's always just been this sad, kind of thing. And every single tweet that the Granblue account makes, the versus Granblue Fantasy Versus makes, people just respond to it with like the sad, like it's not a smiley face anymore, it's just a frowny face with just no rollback, no rollback. And so a couple, yeah, like yesterday. Yeah, I woke up to this like yesterday. They had some kind of like Granblue festival or something where the whole Granblue franchise, they make a bunch of announcements, and there was they rolled a trailer for an update for Granblue Fantasy Versus. An update? I ask with like question mark, because it seems like it's actually kind of a sequel. So Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising, couple the bullshit, the unimportant stuff out of the way first. New stages, new characters, new lobby system. There's like a Fall Guys mode that you can play in the lobby now, like a battle royale. Okay. And then, new story mode stuff, and then and rollbacks in the game. So that was kind of the big thing. I mean, obviously all the content's great, but it doesn't mean much if you can't play it online. That's the sad part, is that like even if a character looked cool, you'd look at it and be like, but fucking delay. Just don't wanna. It's just not worth it, man. So there's the reactions to the rollback update have been kind of like interesting, and it's a fascinating case, because the narrative has been for this whole time that like, well, Cygames, the publisher, the owners of the Granblue IP, they don't want to put the money in to implement like a full rollback update, because it's too expensive, takes too much time. It just ends. It's a pain in the ass. So, yeah, that was the thing. It's just, well, Cygames is just never gonna put up the money for it. I imagine in my head that there was a series of conversations, a lengthy negotiating process between people from Arxis and people from Cygames, and it consisted of mostly, again, this is all in my head, it consisted of mostly the Arxis people saying, no, like, you can totally, like, save this game if you just give us this much money. And they're like, eh? And then Arxis goes, okay, well, what if we make it like a big marketing thing, and it's like a new version of the game, and it's not just like an update, it's got like a new title, and it's like a sequel, but it's like a budget sequel. It's basically just a revision. And Cygames was like, and they were like, what if we, hey, you see this Fall Guy game that's popular right now? What if we put that in the game? And they were like, ooh, for the kids? And they were like, yeah, for the kids. They like the Fall Guys. And Cygames was like, all right, take our gotcha money. Because so that's how I imagine the conversation went. And the fact that it's like, so there's been a lot of confusion about, is this a sequel or an update or like a revision? What is it? It's being marketed as a sequel, but it's, speaking of Guilty Gear, I would probably bet that it's a lot closer to something like Exerd Sign to Exerd Revelator, where like on Steam and in store it's like a different game, but it's essentially the same base game but with more stuff. A revision. It's like a classic old school kind of revision, Super Street Fighter 2, new challenge, whatever. it's not what most people expect out of a fighting game sequel, because that kind of stuff is... Yeah, I mean, it's weird because we've moved into an era where if a game's just going to do a content update, it's just going to do like a new season or something like that. That's just kind of the model now. If you're a new, like a sequel is, we imagine that's like a MKX to MK11 kind of thing. Like, okay, brand new SF5 to Street Fighter 6. You know, Guilty Gear Xrd to Guilty Gear Strive. Like, totally brand new, updated to maybe completely new engine, totally new, you know, reworked character models, new movesets, all that stuff. Like a whole, from the ground up, we're going to build a new game, basically. With a new project, entirely new project. The idea of just releasing, well, it's like basically the same base game, but it's got more characters and content, and maybe a couple like graphical tweaks and stuff like that. That's kind of an antiquated concept to make that its own separate release. But I think, honestly, and this is I guess the theory that people have had, which, yeah, I can see this. I can see the argument for it, is that there would not have been, if it was just Granblue Fantasy Versus Season 5 or whatever, Season 5 update, no one would pay attention to it. But marketing it as a sequel that's going to gain some kind of popularity, because it's just I guess basic psychology stuff. I mean, if there's a game that you have never played, that you maybe even don't have an interest in, and it just says Season 5, you just see that headline, you just skim right over it. You're like, I'm not that's for people who are invested. That's for like mostly the long-term players, right? But if, hey, there's just a totally new entry, you're like, so what's the deal with this? It's a new thing. Maybe it's not as, like, you know, invested in. And that's really who they're looking at. Is this is an attempt? This is like, I don't know if I'd call it a Hail Mary, but this is definitely a very bold attempt to reinvigorate the player base of this game. Give it stable online. Give it crossplay to bring different platforms together, and then kind of sell that to a non-hardcore audience with, hey, there's a bunch of more content. There's a bunch of characters you're going to get, because it's from the way that they have described it, it's the whole roster of Granblue as it is right now. It's the whole roster, plus a couple new additions, and then I imagine DLC on top of that. So you're going to be getting, like, how many characters are in Granblue? How many characters are in Granblue right now? Where is it? There it is. Okay, I'm on Dust Loop. 1, 2, 3. Gee, how does character select laid out? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 characters. So I imagine that Rising is going to launch with at least, like, at least two more characters, right? At least two more characters. So you're going to have, like, at launch for Rising, a roster of, like, 27 characters, something like that, maybe more. Bunch of story content, visual novel stuff. That's, as like if it's going to be a standalone thing for a new buyer, that's a pretty good deal. Hopefully what they'll do is they'll just make it an upgrade path, some kind of upgrade path, kind of like what Capcom used to do, something like that. Like when they did, I think Street Fighter 4 had an upgrade path from like vanilla to super or something like that. One of those. Because, hey, buying a game and then having to buy the same game again, but with like 2 new characters the next year for full price, people don't really like doing that. People don't really like putting up with that, and for good reason. It's not a great model. It's not very consumer friendly. But hey, if you want to make it a discount at like $20, throw in like the first season pass or whatever with that if you've already got the game. Yeah, decent value, right? You were probably, if it was going to be another season of DLC, for instance, you're already going to spend the $20 if you're the type of person who would be interested in, who cared about keeping up with the game as it was updated. So hopefully that's the model that they take. They haven't announced anything else for that. Yeah, would I be interested in GB Viz's Gibvizor. Yeah, Gibvizor. Maybe if it was on sale or if I got it for free. Why not? Why not? Is it on sale? There's a bunch of sales going on right now. I don't think it is. Granblue. Oh, it's like $20. The base version. Oh my god, this trailer's loud as shit. Legendary Edition's $50. Yeah, so probably not worth getting into. Yeah, it does put the consumer in like a weird spot where it's like, okay, well, you're probably just better off waiting. Waiting for Rising to come out, because you don't want, even if there is an upgrade path, you'd probably just end up spending more money total. Yeah, anyway. Versus. Yeah, it looks cool. Because it's not just characters, stages. There's also like new mechanics and stuff like that. This was like a decent effort. This was definitely like, okay, they made this whole like new reworked lobby system. Maybe it'll be busted and broken and shitty like a lot of other Arxis lobbies, but like it's at least like they're making an attempt to add some value to the game instead of just, hey, here's some new characters. Here's like a new stage. You know, that. I mean, that is adding value to the game in a sense, but like for the casual player. Casual players, care about roster count and stuff like that. Everyone cares about roster count, but other things besides that, having the story content, because Granblue fans are big nerds who like to read. Yeah, so hey, the Granblue community has been holding strong for, God, 4 years now, and God bless them. They deserve a break in this game. So, I hope it's cool. I hope the rollback functions well. I'm curious as to how they did it. It might have been some internal Arxis things, because Plus R and Exerd were both like basically contracted out work. Strive was done in-house as far as I'm aware. I'm pretty sure DNF Duel's netcode was also done in-house. I don't know how Fighters is being done. I have no clue. Might also be in-house, like from the Arxis netcode people. But this is great. The rollback revolution, crossplay, fighting games are entering the 21st century, guys. They're finally getting up to snuff with like every other genre, with functioning online and crossplay. So it feels good. What's the next bastion after that? I don't know, just good games, I suppose. That's going to be so nice. Hey, there was some Street Fighter 6 gameplay that they showed off. Man, that game looks fun as hell. Fighting games are so good. They're in such a good spot right now. I can't wait.